pandemic disease. You can recall that Nigerian society had placed over 1 million volunteers on alert in order to respond should there be any cases in Nigeria following the first confirmed cases. The Nigerian society trained and mobilized 100 volunteers in Lagos and Ogun State for intensive mass mobilization to create awareness from prevention through radio jingles, live radio shows, distribution of flyers, sensitization of religious centers, market, motor parks, and streets. So this actually has been a very big role that National Society has been playing in Lagos and Ogun State since the onset, since the report of the first case in Nigeria. As you may be aware, the number of confirmed cases has risen from 201 in 11 states and FCT as at 29th of March this month. So today, you are all aware that we are, I think, over 138. So the number is continuing to rise. But we can see from the 29th of March, there have been a record of 111 cases across 11 states and FCT. Therefore, there is an urgent need to scale up the emergency response in all affected states and FCT, and of course, neighboring states. We commend the efforts of the federal and state governments, philanthropists, in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. This is not the time to trade blames, but a time for everyone to come together. No one is safe, and everyone is at risk, as far as this situation is concerned. In the coming days, the Nigerian society, as an auxiliary to the government, will continue to work closely with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the National Emergency Management Agency, Federal Ministry of Health, and other key stakeholders in this fight. And of course, we are also collaborating with UN agencies, particularly those that have the mandate to work and support the fight against disaster management. We also want to say clearly that we have been jointly working, particularly with the media in Nigeria. Both electronic, print, media have been very supportive, and like I mentioned previously in this course, this has resulted in many of the stations or media organizations in Nigeria actually providing some space, time, airtime for the education, sensitization of our populace on this fight. The Nigerian society is working closely with the government agencies and has already developed kind of key intervention activities in addition to what we are already doing in Lagos and Ogun states. Just to mention but a few, some of the key areas that we're working in line with the blueprint that is set up, the framework that is set up by the Presidential Committee on COVID-19. We are working closely, like I said, with relevant agencies in risk communication and community engagement. We're also working closely in hygiene promotion and, of course, water and sanitation. We are providing psychosocial support to victims, families, and communities that are already reported cases. We are also conducting jointly with the NCDC, National Disease Center for Disease Control, contact tracing and active surveillance. We are also prepared to provide mass care in case of eventuality in line with the mandate given to us by the National Disaster Response Plan. We are also prepared to provide ambulance services for those suspected cases or confirmed cases to where they will be given necessary treatment or laboratory testing. The National Society is also prepared to support the evacuation and burial of those who have been affected by this incident. We are also well disposed to provide support, humanitarian support, to internally displaced persons, popularly known as IDPs, the aged or the older people, persons with disabilities, orphans and vulnerable children. across Nigeria, wherever it may be required. The Nigerian Society hereby calls on all donor agencies, international agencies, well-speaking Nigerians to partner with Nigerian Society in scaling up the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. The Nigerian Society is therefore well disposed to receive support in terms of food, cash, non-food items, including household items. I mentioned about ambulance services that we are doing. We have very limited ambulances, personal protective equipment or gears, of course, radio and television airspace, and also print space, and so on and so forth, that we are ready to partner with interested organizations. The Nigerian Society also calls for for all on the federal and state governments support and make use of the Red Cross root presence, grassroots presence in all the local government areas across the country for effective community engagement. We are inviting and imploring and encouraging all Nigerians and indeed all nationals that are resident in this country to always adhere strictly to government directives, including staying at home and observing optimal personal hygiene. We are imploring individuals, organizations that are interested to please contact Nigerian Society for partnership today so that together we can save lives across Nigeria. We welcome the initiative by the federal government actually looking down some of the key states that are affected by this pandemic. Once again, permit me to register or reiterate or affirm our appreciation to the media in Nigeria for supporting our cause in supporting humanitarian interventions across this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough as far as your support is concerned in saving lives of the most vulnerable people, and in fact, people that are vulnerable or affected by this pandemic across this country. We want to thank you most sincerely. God bless you all. So I think we'll have to take questions.
Yes,
Mr.
few questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Your media name and media organization.
Yeah, good afternoon. Once more, my name is John Obafemi from the Blueprint newspaper. As you were reading your speech, you talked about some of the interventions that you've been doing and then the necessary partnership. One of the concerns of most Nigerians has been that there are no adequate facilities where most Nigerians have been tested so that they can know their status. You know, some of the concern that has been going on, people want to be tested and they are not able to be tested by the NCDC. Do you have any collaboration such that Nigerians that want to be tested could be assisted by your organization?
You want to respond over to
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for this question. As you are aware, this pandemic is actually new, not only to Nigeria, but also to the whole world. So for these reasons, there are limited equipment, tools or testing equipment for this disease. Therefore, government has provided clear criteria and guidance for people to be tested. Ordinarily, under what we call emotional health, many people, for obvious reasons, because of the signs and symptoms that are also similar to some other ailments, feel they want a test or they suspect that they have the situation. So if you go by testing and then begin to test all those people who have no clear linkage with anybody who has the disease, then probably you'll have a lot of prevalence, a lot of demands for this situation. But like I said, the government of the have daily emergency operation centers working with National Center Withdrawal. So if there are people who have a system, we are already setting up what we call emergency lines or virtual lines in order to expand the reach of those that are already set up by the government operation, in particular NCDC, because many times they're actually congested, many people are calling. So we also provide lines where people will also be able to explain to people who may have or maybe feeling of this emotional health, thinking that probably they're affected, to discuss with them, provide what we call psychosocial support, and then identify clearly if they have had any contact with somebody who has that situation, and then probably then they can assist in taking the person to where he can be tested. But today, there are very limited equipment in Nigeria. Like I said, the government is making every effort. So it will be unwise for every person with headache, for example, to queue up that is suspecting that he's having that. We don't have those enough facilities to do that. But we also, as a national society, have contacted our sister national societies, our international partners, to also support Nigeria with additional testing equipment. Thank you.
Sorry, my question is simple. Since the incident of this COVID-19, there has been problem of fake news. So what is your organization doing to address this problem of fake news that has been causing a lot of mental stress and all that?
What we are saying is very true. There is a lot of propaganda, by many individuals trying to cause panic among the general population. And for this reason, like I said, we are providing psychosocial support, but in addition, I said we are having these toll-free lines that people can call so that we can be able to address questions that have been raised to support people that are in doubt. Moreover, we keep on saying that people should emphasize abiding by what is clearly been discussed and sent out, or a kind of statements that the federal government, through Federal Ministry of Health and of course National Center for Disease Control, is going to propagate. People should not just, especially through some of these what we call internet facilities, WhatsApp and many other kind of social media that are not officially regarded as official means of communication. People keep on using those things and then create a lot of panic among population. So we are setting up this line, like I said, in order to complement what the government has already put in addressing some of these rumors. Precisely, there is a lot of rumor concerning this element, and it's created a lot of problems. So people are taking some drugs for no reason. They say that drugs that treat this disease. Some attribute to malaria, yes, and other elements, flu drugs and other things. And which is causing a lot of problem. Remember when we had Ebola, precisely, many people were taking salt, excessive salt, whatever reason, based on some rumors that also received. So I think it is important for anybody who has any suspicion, please to call the relevant authorities for clarification before embarking or taking such self-medication. I think what you said is very clear. This is really causing a lot of harm. There are many people currently that have serious problems with this. Even people have mentioned about gloves. When you have problems in using face masks, please use other means. Don't allow it to be a source of ailment. Any other thing that is being recommended and you find that it is causing more harm than good for you also, do not please insist. But we want advice that people should adhere strictly to the guidelines provided by federal government through Federal Ministry of Health and NCDC. Thank you.
TBC.
Thank you. My question is based on your call on Nigerians to make donations to support the Nigerian Red Cross. Before then, you said the Red Cross has capacity to provide some like evacuation and some other things.
Yes.
Is the call for support the means to providing these things you said, or the capacity is already there to support? Sorry, I want to make reference specifically to the things you said. Like you said, you could provide ambulance service,
yes,
evacuate infected people,
yes,
and so on. Are the capacity available as at this moment, or you are relying on the help of Nigerians in order to meet up with this?
Well, the commitment to do this is very much embedded into our own obligations and, of course, personnel. When I talk about personnel here, I'm talking about staff and volunteers. But the tools that are required to ensure that we're able to deliver this, especially to the size or to the scale that is required, is what we are not actually having on ground. I mentioned about ambulances. We need ambulances. Probably less than 5 or 10 here in Abuja. I mean, compared to the demand. So we really need people to support all these gears with these equipments. We are working mostly, our cost lies in volunteers, people who are volunteering their time and energy. Most of them, they require certain support in terms of their transport to and from where they are staying, and also back, and then also for keeping them during the day for the course of the work. So that's why we are making this appeal. So we do not really have all what we want, but like I said, we started with the Lagos branch. We had some support from our international partners. We got about 30,000 CHF, which we provided in sponsoring or supporting the key interventions that we did in Ogun and Lagos State recently. So as we are scaling up this now to 12 states and of course the neighboring states that are also affected, I think we require additional support in terms of funds and also working equipment and materials, like you mentioned, in particular the ambulances. So I think we definitely require this. I mentioned about airtime. We needed airtime from you. We may not have all the money to pay some of the airtime that is required for both radio and TV, and of course also the print media. I mean the space provided in order to really inform the general public about the situation, so that they can be able to prevent the situation from actually expanding or scaling up.
Sorry, just one more question. Sorry, just straight and forward question. As a humanitarian organization, what is the level of sensitization to rural communities, especially the women who are the caregivers?
Thank you very much. Nigerian society is a grassroots structure. I mentioned clearly, our volunteers are community-based. So we have people in the communities that are well prepared, support, given the right information. As we asked for the purpose of gender diversity or inclusiveness, we had established what we call mothers clubs. Most of these mothers club members are illiterate rural women that are being trained and are being given skills, even using simple demonstration, so that they are able to really sensitize or educate their fellow women in the communities. We have what we call in the communities emergency and first aid teams efforts. These are also ordinary citizens who have volunteered their time and energy in the communities that will train them on how to handle issues like first aid, provide first aid, stop bleeding, ensure circulation of air and blood, in people that are sick or are wounded or are requiring support. So we have these structures actually in various communities that are already being alerted, and they're probably to respond to this situation. So in particular, we are really focusing some of our support targeting women in particular. Even in the IDPs camp, you have mostly women and children. So, and the effort is actually intended to support them. Part of the support we are also requiring is also a part in terms of food and non-food items. Is also support these groups, this kind of hard to reach groups, or these underserved groups. IDPs, women, I mentioned old age, orphans, and vulnerable children. So we look forward to support and collaboration from well-meaning individuals in Nigeria, corporate organizations in supporting this area. So women are particularly given a lot of emphasis actually as far as our support is concerned. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, thank you very much. In absence of any other question,
So what happened to this? You are going to give us?
yes, I will give you the hard copies
Yes.
of the speech.
But if you have the email, you can also send a short copy.